Hey, welcome back, everybody. This is the Take Two podcast with the Frame Brothers. I'm Jameson Frame,
I'm Reed Frame.
and today we're going to get started on the AFC West preview. We're going to be talking about the teams, how we think they're going to do in the year, how we think they're going to do in playoffs, their rookie drafts, and offseason acquisitions. I think we're going to get started with the Chiefs. Reed, if you want to kick her off, we can get going.
Um, so Chiefs, Super Bowl champs, right? Think it's obvious that Patrick Mahomes, arguably best quarterback of all time. I don't think he is, but I think this offense is going to be explosive, is the first thing I see, right? Going right into it, Xavier Worthy breaking the NFL Combine 40 record. That's explosion. Signing Hollywood Brown, that's another more explosive. I think they made this receivers core around Patrick Mahomes.
As you should, right? I mean, you say he's not the best quarterback in the NFL, or you say history, or
Yeah,
just for
history.
all right,
No,
he's
he
sure.
yeah. Yeah.
All right, I'm with you there. I guess who Tom Brady best of all time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. Um, yeah, I guess Xavier Worthy's obviously the big flashy name on from the draft. Was that 4.21 speed? I mean, that you can't replicate that. I mean, you're getting comps to Tyreek Hill in this offense. I mean, it's going to be really exciting to see what Andy Reid can kind of put together and schematically come up with for this guy. Um, really exciting for somebody who, like me, has Patrick Mahomes on a fantasy football team. So definitely looking forward to there. Um, Kingsley, Samatea. I think he's their future starter at left tackle. He's currently second on the depth chart right now. Um, big guy. I think he's got a lot of potential. It's used a second round.
That boy is big.
Yeah, he's a
Six
big boy.
five, 330, 225 for 31 reps. There's really no other way of explaining it except that guy is big.
Yep.
Um, Perfect guy to protect Patrick Mahomes. I really like him. I think as a football player, he's just what you want in a offensive lineman, right? You want the big guy up front. You touched on Xavier Worthy, speed, standout speed. That's what he does. My biggest concern with him is that weight. To be that fast, you have to sacrifice that weight. So he weighed in at 165. That is extremely small. He has good height. He's 5'11", or he's 5'11", but 165 is, I don't know if that's competitive in the NFL.
I mean, Devonta Smith is doing it. I mean, he did it. I mean, he's put on a little weight nowadays, but I mean, he proved that you can stay healthy with doing it. I was a little concerned with Devonta Smith coming out. I didn't think he'd be able to hold up, and he's put together a really great career so far. So can be done. I'm not gonna say for sure whether it will or will not. I mean, he's one big hit away from losing a knee, so you always have that to worry about.
I definitely agree. I think he's a great player. It's just, again, injury concerns. I think injuries really can change this game. As you see, there's great teams right now in the NFL, and all of a sudden they come around December and half their team's on IR. I think a few years back, maybe 2021 San Francisco, that entire team was hurt, and that was a great team, and they were just terrible because they couldn't stay healthy. So I really think injuries can play a role into it, and they could ruin or make a career for a player like Xavier Worthy.
Yeah, I think depth, like you were talking about, is extremely important. I mean, looking at that uh, Chiefs wide receiver room, Hollywood Brown, huge acquisition for him. I think he might have debatably one of his best seasons um, of his career this year with Patrick Mahomes throwing in the ball. You got Rashee Rice, who's got the suspension early on in the season. He'll come back. He'll be a nice piece that gets added later. Sky Moore, Kadarius Toney, if he can learn how to catch the ball, he could probably be a huge asset for him. Um, you always got Travis Kelce. I mean, he's best tight end in the league, in my opinion. No, doesn't look like he's slowing down anytime soon.
I mean, yeah, you going back to that running back room, Isaiah Pacheco, that
Yep.
guy
Running backs too.
runs hard. I love watching Isaiah Pacheco. He's one of my favorite running backs to watch. Looks like he's angry at everyone. It's just fun to watch. You mentioned Taylor Swift. Oh, I meant Travis Kelce. I'm sorry.
All right. I see what you did
Um,
there.
but he arguably best tight end in the league. I would say Sam Laporta is the best, but might be a
Uh,
little
he,
biased.
You got to prove it another year or two. You can't just be giving it to him after a rookie year.
He was better last year, just saying.
All right.
Sam Laporta, great tight end. Travis Kelsey is starting to slope down, I think, end of his career, but he had an amazing career, and I think he could still go. I think he's got 2 more years left in the tank.
Well, the thing with Travis Kelsey, even if he is winding down, in the fourth round, they drafted Jared Wiley. He is like the reincarnation, at least physically, of Travis Kelsey.
Well, there
He's,
can't be another Taylor Swift, so he can't be the reincarnation.
I meant physically wise. I mean,
Oh,
he's 6'6", 249 pounds at the combine. Travis Kelsey's 6'5", 255. Jared Wiley ran a 4'6", 240. Travis Kelsey ran a 4'6", 1. I mean, he's a former quarterback in high school, knows how to get open. I mean, Travis Kelsey could teach him everything he knows, and this guy could be just the next step for Travis Kelsey. I mean, that's high praise. I mean, I've heard some comps to him. I haven't actually seen him play yet or not, but I mean, if that's their mentality with why they drafted him, I can definitely see it.
I could definitely see it too. He's big. Like you said, I think size is a big thing in this sport. And standing 6'6", this guy, a few years behind Travis Kelsey, all of a sudden he comes out and he's a great tight end, right?
Well, he doesn't even
Definitely,
need to be great, even if he's just really good. I mean, he still learn how to run the niche routes and schematically how to get open for Patrick
especially
Mahomes
with, I was
needs.
just saying, especially
Yeah,
when you have Patrick Mahomes at QB. I mean, he can throw guys open. When you have a quarterback with that good of arm talent, do you really even need to be that good of a receiver? He can just make you a good receiver.
I hear you.
Um, that offensive line, uh, it does the job, right? They just lost Orlando Brown Jr., I believe. He was a really good tackle for them. But Creed Humphrey holding down the center position, that's, I would say, the best center in the league. Jason Kelsey was last year. I think Creed Humphrey comes in this year as the best center in the league. Yeah, Trey Smith at right guard. That guy's pretty underrated.
I agree.
I think he's a very good guard. Um, very just flies under the radar. I mean, offensive linemen always do. It's not a fun position to watch, not a fun position to talk about, but I think it is a very fundamental position. You need to have good offensive line to win the game.
No, absolutely. I mean, Joe Thurney, they brought in Thuney from New England to lock down the left guard slot. You got Wanya Morris, who's going to be sliding into the left tackle, competing with Kingsley. I think he'll probably win the job. A
You
veteran guy.
think?
Yeah, I think he'll win it at least for the first year, maybe the first part of the season. They'll kind of work Kingsley and give him a year, kind of develop and whatnot. And then Jawan Taylor over there at right tackle. I mean, if he can get the false starts or the not lining up 5 yards down the field every play, I think he'll be all right too.
Yeah. The fifth round pick they took Hunter Norzad out of Penn State. That guy, he's good depth and he's great flexibility. He played center in college, but he also has some experience at guard. That guy
Yep.
could definitely. We were talking about depth earlier. That guy could definitely come in for an injured guy, and he could be reliable. I think that was a great pick by them. The seventh round, they took the guard Hanson out of Holy Cross. Don't know much about the guy. I mean, he goes to Holy Cross, not great competition there at the collegiate level,
That's
but
always hard. Yeah.
yeah, could be a good depth guy. You got to see what he does in train camp, mini camp, stuff like that. But yeah, I think this offensive line, it's not the biggest name guys, but there's a lot of guys here underrated and they do their job. They protect Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, I think needless to say, Andy Reid's always going to scheme guys open. I mean, if he has a weak offensive line, he's going to compensate before, outside screen plays, outside pitch plays, stuff like that to kind of minimize the need for his offensive line to be good for him. He'll scheme around him. All the other offensive masterminds, Kyle Shanahan, the Sean McVays, even O'Connell and the Vikings, those newer, younger coaches that are really heavily scheme wise into the offense, they're really good at just making their weaknesses or hiding their weaknesses, I should say. So I think even if Andy Reid's offense starts to struggle because of their offensive line, he'll make it work and he'll find a way to still win games. I mean, I have them going 14-3 with getting the 2 seed. A lot of people I've heard saying they might repeat for a third year. I don't think so. I mean, I feel like their team got worse from last year, but I still think they'll win 14 games, in my opinion.
I have them a little bit more down to earth, I think. I have them going 12-5, going for the 4 seed.
Okay.
I do not see them going three-peat. I don't really see them making a deep playoff run. Like you said, I don't think their team got better from last year. I
No.
think um I just don't I see him being a good team, like you said, Andy Reid getting those wins, but I don't see him getting those wins against these better teams this year. I have him losing to the Bills, to the Texans, losing a few games that they probably shouldn't, but I don't think they are gonna be going 14 wins this season. I don't know if that's a
We'll
hot
see.
take.
I got some belief in Andy and Patrick Mahomes. I never can count them out.
I mean, I guess if you have Patrick Mahomes, I feel like he's usually guaranteed like 5 wins in a season. You could throw me out there at wide receiver and he's gonna throw me open. But
Yeah, I mean, the good rule of thumb is the team with the better coach and the better quarterback is probably going to win the game, right? I mean, debatably, they have both. So you can't count them out of any game. So I still think they'll have a good season. I don't even have them making the Super Bowl, um, losing, second, third round in the playoffs and then kind of getting the boot. So
yeah, definitely.
they're going to get into salary cap hell here in the next couple of years. It's going to be a struggle for them. They're going to have to keep revamping contracts, keep making Patrick Mahomes taking, void years in his contract. It's going to get kind of messy as they get closer to this if they can't find young talent to bring them up. So
I think we've definitely seen like a a dynasty, I guess you could say. I think they've been contenders for a while now, and I think we're
would you
starting to
call it a
see.
dynasty?
I wouldn't call it a dynasty. I would call it a very good
Really?
team over time. No, would they win only two Super Bowls, three Super Bowls?
Three.
They won three. All right.
I think it's like 3 and 5 years, I think.
All right, that might be a dynasty. All right, I
Yeah,
might.
that's definitely a dynasty.
All right, it's a dynasty, but I think we're definitely seeing the decline of this team. Like you said, salary cap hell. This team's going to be in trouble here. I mean, I don't know how much money that was Patrick Mahomes' contract is, but they still owe him a ton of money because they had him taking years off, those void years. So they're going to be in trouble here pretty soon.
Yeah, I mean they're pushing the money down the road, kicking the can down the road, if you will. I mean they keep creating void years and restructuring his contract, so all the big money's kind of at the end of his contract. I mean he's still over the 13% rule, if you will. For those that don't know what the 13% rule is, the only quarterback to ever win a Super Bowl taking up more than 13% of their team's cap space is Patrick Mahomes, and he did it the last 2 years in a row. So if anybody could do it, it's him, but it's got to catch up to you. I mean, it's just hard to win Super Bowls when so much of your team's salary cap is being eaten up by one guy, regardless of position.
Yeah,
So
I think that's what Tom Brady did well. Talking about Tom Brady now, he wouldn't take his team salary cap, and that's how he's won so many rings. I think if a team really just wants to win, you have to have a quarterback that's willing to take that pay cut, willing to be a selfless player.
yeah, or win on rookie contracts or young players early on in their career. I mean, that's the other way to go about it is use that money elsewhere to pay positions of need, skilled positions, defensive end, pass rushers, stuff like that. So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Um, I think talking about a young team, I have the Chargers as a very underrated team. I know they have a lot of issues or gaps in their roster, especially at that wide receiver position. I think if you look at that roster, like who is Justin Herbert going to throw to? But I still have them going 11-6. I'm very high on this
Same.
Charger. I'm very high on this Chargers team. I think they're very underrated. I'm a big Justin Herbert fan. I think he's a great quarterback. You got Quentin Johnson at wide receiver. He did not have a good rookie year. I think he still
Yeah.
has. I think he still has opportunity. I really like the Lad McConkey pick here. I think that guy is going to be a very good wide receiver. He's big, good route runner, could definitely be their number one guy. I mean, that's how bad of a wide receiver core we're talking here. A second round wide receiver out of Georgia could become their number one guy.
Yeah, I think he'll be their number one guy by the end of the season. He's looks like he'll probably start in the slot, or Joshua Palmer will probably be in the slot if I'm being honest. Lad McConkey probably start outside. Quentin Johnson, I got no hope for at this point. I've given up on him. I wasn't a huge fan of him coming out of college, and just just the eye test and watching him play, I've lost all hope in the guy. Um, Vlad McConkey's my wide receiver one in this team. I think he's going to be a great pickup in fantasy. I don't anticipate the Chargers throwing the ball a ton. I mean, they'll probably run a lot of play action pass for when they need to throw it, or if they're late in games, they'll come up with some kind of pass heavy sets and that kind of thing. But I think this team is going to thrive on running the ball, handing the ball off 40 times a game. They got a staple of running backs. J.K. Dobbins, Gus Edwards, Kamani Vidal was a sixth round draft pick, but I'm very high on him. I think he has the potential to come out of that running back room as RB1. Um, Isaiah Spiller, Jared Peterson was kind of a power back. He made his start on over on Washington, so they're going to run the ball a lot.
Yeah, I see it also in this line. I also see it in their tight end they took in Will Dissly. They signed him coming from the Seahawks. I'm a Seahawks homer, but that Seahawks team, all of those tight ends know how to block, right?
Yep,
And Will
yep.
Dissly definitely knows how to block. He might not be the best receiver, but he can block for you. So I think that would be a good running or good for the running back. They also have a good line. You got Rashawn Slater,
Yep.
great tackle, taking Joe Alt first overall, or not first overall, first round, fifth pick.
Yeah, great
Um,
pick. Great pick. He's going to be a beast.
he is massive. Again, we're talking these tackles. I'm pretty sure he was 6'7", if I'm correct. Yeah,
I'd have
or
to check
six
on that.
nine, 6'9", sorry.
Yeah.
Benched 225 for 27. Again, giant beast of a guy. Great tackle, bookend to Rashawn Slater. I think those are great tackles. Moving interior, you got Zion Johnson. He's decent. I didn't hear of him before I started looking into the Chargers. These interior
I
guys
was
I
high
didn't.
on him last year. He came out of like Boston College. He's a slender center slash guard. I'm pretty high on Zion Johnson. I think he's gonna be a good guard for him for a long time.
Yeah, I think all their interior guys are underrated and definitely can do their job. Again, those five linemen can really make or break a team, like we said about the Chiefs. I think these guys can definitely get the job done and definitely can make a good line for Gus Edwards, J.K. Dobbins. Like back to injuries, both these guys have had injuries in their past. So you said Kamir Vidal, I believe, or
Kamani Vidal.
Kamani Vidal.
Yeah, he's a beast. He's good.
These two guys
Oh
could
yeah.
get hurt. All of a sudden, this guy's in the number one role without even earning it, and then all of a sudden, he takes both their stuff or both their jobs. Right. This running back room, I would not be spending a high round in fantasy on any of these guys because there's a lot of unsurety here. You don't know who's going to start, who's not going to get hurt. You don't know who's going to be on the field. So
You
I
don't
would
know who's
stay.
taking the goal line carries either for your touchdowns. I mean, you got two power backs in J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards. I mean, Gus Edwards is probably the better of the power backs, but still, I mean, line up in different sets. People are taking touchdowns away from each other. You don't know who to start on a daily basis. It's kind of a mess at running back right now.
I honestly don't see much here at all for fantasy. I mean, Lad McConkey, Justin Herbert, right? Star of the show. But there's really no wide receiver or running back here that I like especially like want.
But
Um,
you have to remember if they're winning 11 games, they're going to be putting up points, right? So I think it's just a you have to find the guy for every week because I have a feeling it's going to be a different guy every week, right? You know, Justin Herbert's going to light it up one game, then they're going to run the ball 40 times the next game. Then they're going to use play action pass schematically against a bad team that's bad against play action pass, and they're going to light it up again. So it should be kind of like predicting who's going to be good, who's going to be bad. I mean, if you start Gus Edwards one week, I feel like J.K. Dobbins is going to rush for 150 yards and three touchdowns. If you start J.K. Dobbins, I feel like Gus Edwards is going to, or yeah, Gus Edwards is going to do that. So I think it's going to be a really hard team fantasy wise to kind of pick apart week by week who you should start and who you shouldn't. But I still think they'll be putting up a lot of points, so their players are valuable. It's just going to be a gamble.
definitely. Um, Another questionable take. I just want to hear how you feel. Brendan Rice. What do we think about him? Jerry Rice's kid.
I with Rice as your last name, I just can't believe he had decent production in college too at USC.
Yeah.
I just can't believe he fell to the seventh round.
Seventh round pick being
I
Jerry
can't
Rice's kid.
I can't believe a team didn't take a fifth round flyer, sixth round flyer on the kid. He's got decent size, he's got good hands. He's Not great at route running from what I've seen, but has the ability to get open and can make some contested catches. I mean, I feel like with that name alone, he probably should have been a sixth or fifth round pick.
I definitely agree. Like you said, he's not the best route runner, but you can learn how to become a route runner, especially with Jerry Rice as your dad. Um,
Well, I would have
one,
thought he would have learned that by now.
yeah,
There
like
is your dad. I mean, should have been teaching all the way up. So either he just doesn't have it, or I don't know.
I don't know how you fall to the seventh round as a legend as your dad. Something you didn't say is he's a good blocker. He's a good run blocker.
Big
Fits
guy.
big guy. Yeah, fits into the scheme like you said. If they want to run the ball a lot, you kind of want wide receivers to take that corner out of that play.
Well, then that's a threat for a play action pass too. If they're getting him on the
Yeah,
field a lot for blocking, they can skirt him up the top and throw it deep.
yeah, but I don't think. Here, I got a question for you: Quentin Johnston or Brendan Rice?
Give me Brendan Rice.
Really?
Yeah, I'm done with Quentin Johnson.
I still have hope for Quentin Johnson. Just maybe
I
because he's on my fantasy team, but
I got none. Give me DJ Chark over there with the Chargers sign.
oh
Give me
yeah.
DJ Chark, Lad McConkey, Joshua Palmer is my three for that starting team any day.
DJ
Get Quentin
Chark
Johnson
is
bench.
DJ Chark. I feel like is a good wide receiver, good underrated guy.
He's been underrated for a while. He's got the speed. He's got the hands. I mean, he made some flashy plays on the Lions last no Carolina Panthers last year. Sorry. He
Yes.
made some plays. I mean, their team wasn't very good. I mean, it's kind of hard to judge a guy off of that. Um, but yeah, I mean, what can you do?
Yeah. If we move to that defense side of the ball, haven't really talked much defense today. That rookie out of Michigan, uh,
Junior
one of
Colson.
Junior Colson, one of Jim's guys, right? I kind of saw you could see it coming from a mile away, taking a Michigan linebacker, but he's a I think he's a good linebacker, good depth guy. I think he could definitely start on this team, in my opinion.
I think
Maybe
he'll.
because
I
maybe
think he'll
because
start
there's
right away.
bias from Jim being a Michigan guy. I don't know how much that'll play into that. I'm not an expert on that, but I think he earns it too. He could be a favorite, but I think he's a very good linebacker.
Yeah, I don't think Jim's the type of guy that plays favorites all that much. Obviously, I don't know him. I have no idea. He just seems like a guy that wants to win, and he wants the best people on the field to do so. I think Junior Colson has a chance to compete. I mean, his really only competition name wise is Denzel Perryman, an older vet. So I think he could come in, even if he doesn't start right away. I think he's definitely going to start either at the end of this year or starting full time next year if he hasn't started by then. So I'm a big fan of the guy. I think he'll probably start right away, in my opinion.
I agree. I definitely think he's a good piece on that interior linebacking uh, position. Moving to the outside linebackers, I think you have two great guys. You got Joey Bosa, who's I don't know how long he's been in the league. I feel like he's been in the league forever.
It does feel like
Kind
that, doesn't it?
Yeah. Khalil Mack, great on the Bears, and I believe he was the Raiders his beginning years, right? He was a stud for them, and then he kind of fell off. And then last year he came back, and I'm pretty sure did he lead the league in sacks?
I don't think he. No, I think TJ Watt led the league in sacks.
Oh, okay.
Sure.
I think he was pretty close at least. But Khalil Mack, I think, had a bounce back year last year, and I think Joey Bosa, Khalil Mack, great edge threats. Definitely scary as a opposing quarterback to have these two coming off both edges.
Yeah, I think very veteran guys. I mean, like you said, Joey Bosa feels like he's been in the league forever. I mean, Khalil Mack's been in the league forever too.
Yeah.
The thing is, like he had the couple down years, and then last year he kind of had another breakout year. They got Bud Dupree, who's also a veteran pass rusher coming off the edge. It's an all right pass rushing team. I don't love it. I'm not super high on Joey Bosa. I think Khalil Mack only has a couple years left. The one thing they got going for him, they got Asante Samuel in coverage, Derwin James, who's a great safety in my opinion.
Yeah,
Uh,
just back to that injury while we were talking. I
yeah, yeah,
haven't really been hearing his name ever since he got that injury, right? He was an
right.
amazing safety. I loved watching him. He hits hard, fun to watch, but he got injured. Names out of the media. You're starting to be forgotten. Derwin James, I think this could be his bounce back year. Again, this Chargers team is kind of getting me excited. I'm kind of like bouncing in my seat over here. I kind of want to watch the Chargers now. But Derwin
Yeah.
James, like you were saying, great safety.
Yeah, that's kind of how I was with the Rams last week. I mean, I was getting excited talking about a team I don't even like. So, for all that whoever watches this video who didn't get to see that one, we got the NFC West up from last week Tuesday. So if you guys want to check that one out, feel free. Um, yeah, I mean the Chargers are a sneaky good team. I think Jim is going to build them up here next and start competing here in the next 2 to 3 years. They definitely got the building block. You said you brought up the youth. They could definitely use a couple more weapons on the offensive line and kind of figure out who their lead back is. But I think overall, I like 11-6. I think we both agree there. I think it's a
Yeah,
good spot for him for sure.
I definitely agree with you. And then if we look at at least for my prediction, then there's a humongous fall off in this division. You got the Chargers and the Chiefs, and then I got the Broncos going third, and I have them going 4-13.
4-13. I got him win one more. I got him 5-12.
5-12. But if I look at this team, being a Seahawks fan, the first thing I see is that Russell Wilson trade screwed them forever. I feel like that just screwed up their team.
Well, you got to remember the Sean Payton trade too, because they gave up there was a couple picks. I don't know. They gave up, I think, this year's second round pick in out as part of that Sean Payton deal as well.
Yeah.
So I mean that's hurting them too. I mean, I gotta ask, is Sean Payton overrated?
Is Sean Payton a good head coach at all?
Well, all I hear about Sean Payton is he's this offensive mastermind. He was like the Sean McVay, the Kyle Shanahan before them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he made this team around Drew Brees, and he was able to schematically come up and make a Super Bowl win. But I mean, he did it one time, and the Saints were falling apart his last couple years. I mean, he left when they were in salary cap hell, just kind of abandoned them and said, "Hey, we're $80 million in the hole. You guys got to dig yourself out of this one. I want no part of this." And then a couple of years back, comes back and coaches for the Broncos. Like
And
I wasn't a huge fan.
now the Broncos are in a terrible situation. I mean, is Sean Payton just a curse?
I don't
Like,
know, man. I'm just not seeing the hype around him. He's supposed to be able to make anybody work. I mean, he made what's his name? Taysom Hill when he was a starting quarterback. I think he won like 7 games as a starting quarterback or something like that. Something crazy. I don't know if he's just lost it or just hasn't put the team together that he's really wanted again since he's been back. I mean, I get he kind of had 1 year with Russell Wilson and tried to make it work. Had some locker room problems as well too, but
yeah, definitely. That quarterback, I mean, ever since Russell Wilson left, right?
yep,
I remember when they traded for Russell Wilson, everyone was saying, this team's a quarterback away. This team's a quarterback away.
yep,
You,
yep.
I, you went and got your quarterback. You gave him like what, 3 first-round picks. You sold your entire future for a quarterback. It didn't work out.
Well, and
It,
they signed him to an extension before he played a snap for him.
yeah,
They gave him like a 5-year extension before he even touched the field. That was mind-boggling.
it was terrible decisions. I think there's no other explanation, just horrendous, just bad decisions there from the office, from the coaching, from the GM. Just Russell Wilson coming off that finger injury, Aaron Donald retiring. I forgot to mention this last time. Aaron Donald ended his career, but Russell Wilson coming off that finger injury, he was never the same.
Nope.
You sign him to extension, give him this guaranteed money, wasn't good.
Right.
Now you have no money. You don't have a quarterback. You don't have a first-round pick for the next 2 years.
Right.
The Broncos are screwed.
I mean, they got Bo Nix. I know you were high on him in college. I mean, is he the future? Is he the answer to solve all problems?
I love Bo Nix, but Bo Nix in this situation, I don't think he can do it. I love Bo Nix more than any other person, I feel like. Loved him in college. I wanted the Seahawks to take him. He cannot do it in this situation. Bo Nix is good. He's not that good.
I mean, he was just a dump down king in college. I mean, he had a high completion percentage because he was throwing a lot of screens. He was dumping it down to the running back, which there's nothing wrong with that. If you're winning games, you're winning games, right? Um, it's not a super flashy way to win, and I don't know how, the eye talent, or I don't know how how capable you are of seeing if somebody's good or not. I mean, he's got a decent offensive line. Garrett Bowles, a veteran left tackle. You got Ben Powers coming over from Baltimore. He's a good older guard. Luke Waddenberg, I apologize. At center, I don't know much about him. Quinn Menzer. He's from Whitewater, I believe, and over here in Wisconsin. I mean, he's a solid underrated guy. And then Mike McGlinchey, who's a big name right tackle. Not a bad starting offensive line for a rookie to come into and kind of make things
Yeah.
work. Um, could use a couple more weapons, but apart from that, I mean, he's set up for some success. I mean, I don't think they'll have it. I mean, I have them going 5-12, but
Uh,
I think
I'm thinking Bonix, like I said, Bonix is good. He's not going to win Offensive Rookie of the Year. I feel like I'm already counting him out, especially on this team. You talk about weapons. They drafted Troy Franklin, who I am also super high on. I think I might like Oregon a little bit because I like Bonix. I like Troy Franklin. I like Jackson Powers Johnson, who we'll talk about here pretty soon. But Troy Franklin, he's big. He's fast, 4.41 speed, and he has that chemistry already with Bo. I think he could definitely be a sleeper fantasy pick just because Bo's his QB and he might dump it down. Like you said, dump down routes. Troy Franklin was a monster on that drag route, that slant route. He was catch the ball and he would get 10 yards. It's Tom Brady football, I think, is the most famous reference. Tom Brady would just dump it down to Edelman and people like that. Bo Nix, next Tom Brady.
you have to remember though the Drew Brees offense. What was the last couple of years of Drew Brees? It was Michael Thomas running slant routes, and it was just all short stuff. I think Bo Nix may be the perfect quarterback for Sean Payton to run that similar style offense. He's got a running back by the name of Jaleen McLaughlin. I think he's going to be an absolute steal this year in fantasy. He's a short little shifty receiving back out of the backfield. So he'll be the third down back. I mean, he's going to catch a lot of screens out of the backfield if they set up, like wide receiver screens and kind of motion him out there. I could see him having a huge impact there. So in any PPR league, I mean, I feel like he's worth a roster spot for anybody who's not heard of the guy.
That running back room also Audric Estime out of Notre Dame. Jeepers. The fifth round guy, rookie. He's a bruiser. I feel like he'll get their goal line carries. You have Javonte Williams coming back. He was kind of just an all around guy. He could catch the ball, he could run, he could bruise. But Audric Estime, I think he'll get the higher percentage of their goal line carries and will get some touchdowns. But I feel like in fantasy wise, he will be touchdown dependent.
Yeah, I agree. He'll be kind of a LeGarrette Blunt, if you will. Jamal Williams when he was on the Lions. Those kind of guys that get the goal line carries but aren't doing a whole lot first and second down. I think Javonte Williams will take first and second down. I think Jaleel McLaughlin will take your third down and any kind of passing for sure plays. He'll be on the field, and I think you're right. Odd Estimate is going to be down by the goal line for sure.
Yeah. Moving to the other side of the ball here. I think highlight name is Pat Surtain. I'm
Absolutely.
pretty sure he had kind of a down year last year, but I think he still has it. I mean, it's Patrick Surtain, great corner. He could lock down your number one guy. But really, there's not much else here.
Yeah, it's a lot of I don't even want to say underrated guys because I've never even heard of a lot of these guys. They're gonna be kind of making it up on the fly, I feel like.
Yeah, I mean, underrated guys. They did sign John Franklin Myers from the Jets. He
Yep.
is a underrated guy in my opinion. He's a good rusher, good defensive end. Another underrated guy is Cody Barton. I know you're very high on him. If you want to
Shout
talk
out
about,
from last week. Yep.
yeah, but Cody Barton, he was a very underrated guy coming from the Seahawks. He didn't get much playing time from on the Seahawks, just kind of buried in the depth chart. But when he was on the field, he did perform.
He's an underrated guy. He's not going to be your super flashy guy, but he's a consistent guy. Good in the run, all right in the pass. He's not the fastest guy in the world. But looking at this defense, a lot of these guys weren't on the team last year. You got your whole starting defensive line. I mean, they run a 3-4, so there's only three of them. But you got Zach Allen, who came from Arizona, defensive end. At the other defensive end, you got Franklin Myers, who you just talked about from the Jets. Then you got DJ Jones coming over from San Francisco as your nose tackle. On that, you got Cody Barton, who's new to the team, and you got Alex Singleton, a linebacker from Philadelphia. So, I mean, you got five out of your starting 11 guys on defense who are brand new to your team. I mean, that's not even including defensive backs that I didn't name.
Yeah. But you say they're new, but I still think they improved though. I think they are better guys, right? So I think, yeah, they're new. Yeah, they might have to figure out a new scheme, but yeah, upgrading talent wise. So
Yeah, I mean, their defense was supposed to be really good last year too. Like you said, they were supposed to be a quarterback away, right?
they were
They
not a
just
quarterback
they
away.
were. I mean, they were not a quarterback away. There was more problems than just their quarterback. That's for sure. We found out that out.
Yeah, we did find that out. But this team, I don't know, man. Not a good year this year. Don't think it's going to be a good year next year. Don't think it's going to be a good year after that. This
I think if
team,
they can get, I think if they can get some weapons and they can get a better defensive back system going here, I think they have a chance to put something together here. But they're going to need a hit on next year's draft. I haven't looked at their draft capital, but if they have a good, solid draft next year, I think they could potentially start building block their way up to the playoffs.
I could see it again, depending upon their draft capital
Right.
next
I
year.
haven't looked. Yeah.
Yeah, but like you said, the weapons would definitely need to be a fix here. That DB room would definitely need to be a fix here. I also think the linebackers. I think you need another linebacker, whether that's outside or inside guy. I think you do need one more linebacker there. But I think they're closer than I am giving them credit for. But I don't know if they're very close.
They do have Drew Sanders, a young linebacker. I believe he was a rookie last year out of Arkansas, if I remember correctly. Younger guy. I think he might step up this year too to compete. So I don't know if I have a lot of game film on him to kind of go off of, but he's their long term future at linebacker. I'm not sure.
Or Jonah Ellis out of Utah, who they took on the third round. He seemed a lot of people seem to be pretty high on him. He's got good size. Again, they need an edge guy, so he could
Yeah.
be a good edge fit for them. I don't know how good he's going to be for them. He's got the size that you'd want in an edge. We'll just see how he works out.
Right. Absolutely. I guess moving on to the Raiders. You said you got the Raiders finishing last, so do I. I got them going 4-13. Um, Actually, as I started diving into this, doing a little research on the team, I like their team more than I initially thought. I still don't have them winning a lot of games. Uh,
I 100% agree with you. When I think of the Raiders, like, oh, the Raiders, oh, get away from me. I don't want anything to do with you. I open up their depth chart and I see Max Crosby, defensive lineman, great guy. And then I go down and I see Christian Wilkins, defensive line. Completely forgot they signed him. He's
yep.
underrated, great defensive lineman.
Well, he
I
didn't get
then
paid
look,
like he was overrated or underrated.
you're right, you're right.
He got
But
paid.
this team has some star power, right? I think of the Raiders, I'm like, ooh, not good. But then I look and there's some star power on this team.
Yeah, absolutely. I kind of like the building blocks they got. Kind of another team that's building for the future. Antonio Pierce's first year or first full year, I should say, taking over this team. I like where he's headed. Um, he's got kind of the building blocks, but I think Gardner Minshew's only going to take you so far. He's kind of a bridge quarterback. I don't
Gardner Minshew. Give me Aiden O'Connell starting.
really.
Yeah, I liked Aiden O'Connell.
I do not. I don't see Gardner Minshew not being the starting quarterback week one, man.
We'll see, but I think Aiden O'Connell, just knowing the scheme from last year, he might be their guy. I think. I mean, either way, it's not a good situation you want to be in with Gardner Minshew or Aiden O'Connell at the helm of your offense. You definitely need a quarterback,
Well, they wanted
but
one. They tried going to get Jaden Daniels, I heard. I mean, that was kind of the hype is they were trying to trade up to get their guy, and that was their guy. So couldn't couldn't get done.
I couldn't get it done, and now you're stuck with Aiden O'Connell or Gardner Minshew at your quarterback, which kind of ruins your season, if I'm honest.
That's the only reason I had them ranked as low as I did, to be honest. I mean, they're yeah, well, I don't want to say they're a quarterback away, but they're a quarterback away from being a lot better than they are right now.
Yeah, they are definitely a quarterback away from being a better team. I think with a quarterback on this team, they could get 8 wins in a season.
I can see it, depending on the quarterback.
Um, you were talking about how they try to get Jaden Daniels, but they, in my opinion, they wasted their first round pick on Brock Bowers.
I was going to say the same thing. I wasn't sure if you'd have the same thought process.
Michael Mayer is a perfectly good tight end. He was doing pretty well last year. You go have the 13th pick. You got some defensive needs. You got a lot of gaps on this team that you could fill. And you go and take Brock Bowers, a tight end out of Georgia. And it's not like you're going to line him up in the slot. You just signed Trey Tucker, who is a pretty good pretty good slot receiver at the end of last year. He was turning into something. Throw him in the slot. He could start cooking some stuff up. Brock Bowers was not a good use of that first round pick.
Yeah, I don't that one blew my mind. I mean, they either needed a quarterback or they needed a defensive back. I thought they were going to go Terriel Arnold. From the reports I read after the draft, it sounded like they did a coin toss to decide if they were taking Brock Bowers or Terriel Arnold.
Now that's how you run a team.
That is a wild way to pick a draft pick. I
That's some stuff I do in Madden right there.
oh, I don't even in Madden.
It,
The one, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, you go ahead.
All right, the one pick I think that they nailed was their second pick. Jackson Powers Johnson. I can't believe he fell to 44. He's a guard by, or sorry, he's a center by nature, but they have him sliding over to guard after they just paid Andre James a big contract to play center for him and reassured him he's going to be their center for the next couple of years. Interested to see how Jackson Powers Johnson does at guard. I thought he was going to be the next Creed Humphreys and come in and immediately be a top 3 center in the NFL.
This guy in college, he was the best center in the nation, right?
Oh, hands down.
I wanted the Seahawks to take him, right? Oh, yeah. We needed a center. This guy was a great fit, amazing guy. Went to the Raiders. I think this is one of the best picks in the draft. Out of everyone, I think they nailed this one the most. Amazing steal for them. Will he translate to right guard? I think so. I think this guy is an amazing talent just on the interior offensive line. This is an amazing pick. It definitely fills a gap for them. There's nothing else to say. A+ pick.
No, I hear you. Getting back to those weapons, Devontae Adams, Jacoby Myers, 2 really good wide receivers. They also picked up Michael Gallup, who I think is an underrated receiver from the Cowboys. They got Trey Tucker, like you were saying, good slot receiver. I think Jalen Guyton from the Chargers too. He's a kind of a lesser known name. They got some weapons, and then underrated running backs. Zamir White, who really turned it on at the end of last year. He'll be their running back 1. They also got Alexander Madison, who I am not a fan of at all.
Yeah, I'm not either.
I don't know what the thought process there.
I honestly think Amir Abdullah is a better running back than Alexander Madison. Amir Abdullah, I'm pretty sure Zamir White got hurt last year, and Amir stepped into that number 1 running back role, and he did it pretty well. He had a pretty good game. So I would honestly put Amir Abdullah ahead of Alexander Madison. I know Alexander Madison's the bigger name, but Amir Abdullah, I believe, is a better running back than Alexander Madison.
Yeah, I'm not high on Madison at all. I mean, they also got the Dylan Labe. I don't know how to pronounce his last name. 6th round pick. He's a jacked white dude out of where was he from? Do you know?
New Hampshire.
New Hampshire. I was gonna say New Mexico State. That was right. Yeah, he wears 23. He wears the same kind of outfit as what Christian McCaffrey's got going on. Yeah, I've seen that.
He's a very versatile back too. Like, this guy is almost a Christian McCaffrey clone, right?
Yeah, that's what everybody's been saying.
He can catch the ball. He can run pretty well. I saw some reports saying he could be a good returner for them. I don't know. He didn't really run a fast 40. He's not very fast, if I'm being honest. But if you want a slower type returner, he is shifty. He can break tackles, but that speed is a big question of him. I think that's what really brought down his stock.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, smaller school too, lesser competition, that kind of thing. That never helps your draft stock. We'll see what happens. I don't know if he's got the potential, but he's got the looks. He definitely looks the part that you're hyped about him. I've heard a couple people talking about him from training camps and mini
Yeah.
camps, stuff like that. So uh,
Reminds me of Jake Funk. I think it was
I
two
was
years ago.
I was gonna say his name.
Really? Rams running back. People were
Yep.
comparing him to Christian McCaffrey. Next, white running back. Haven't heard his name since. I think I picked him up on my fantasy team, dropped him like week 3. I was like, this guy's never playing. Picked up
Yeah.
Kyrie Williams. Shout out to you, Kyrie Williams. You're a dog. But Dylan Labe, next CMC, we don't know, or is he the next Jake Funk?
Yeah, I don't know. Well, yeah, maybe he's just somewhere in the middle. Maybe he's a Amir Abdullah just hangs around forever.
Yep.
Jump into this defense. Big names like you said, Max Crosby, Christian Wilkins. Those are the immediate ones that are going to jump off the page. Max Crosby, one of the best defensive ends, pass rushers in the league. Um, you got some decent linebackers, Robert Spillin, and Divine Diablo. Underrated linebackers for sure. You got Tyree Wilson, a first round draft pick from last year, who's coming off the edge. And then your defensive backs, Nate Hobbs, Marcus Epps. Oh, sorry, Marcus Epps is a free safety. Jack Jones and Jackenorian Benton.
You touched on Tyree Wilson. I know he didn't have a good year last year. I am still very high on this guy. I remember coming out of the draft. I'm pretty sure he's out of Texas Tech, I want to say.
Correct. Yep.
Yeah. But the biggest thing you see out of this guy is that wingspan. He has a wingspan 1 inch less than Giannis Antetokounmpo, right?
Wow.
That that is a massive wingspan for a football player, alone a edge rusher. He's going to get his hands on the tackle before the tackle can even touch him, right? That's a huge advantage for an edge rusher. I'm very high on Tyree Wilson. I think he's going to have a breakout year this year. But I believe this year is going to be make or break for his career. If he doesn't break out this year, I don't think he's going to break out ever. But I do believe he's going to break out this year.
Yeah, I have really high hopes for him. I liked him coming out of college. I think he could probably make it happen. Otherwise, I just hope he doesn't become another Cleveland Farrell kind of guy.
Oh, I love Cleveland Farrell, and he just fell off the face of the earth.
I know you did. Hey, I got 4 names here for pass rushers talking about Max Crosby. I guess rank them as your best pass rushers. All right, you got Nick Bosa, you got Miles Garrett, you got T.J. Watt, you got Max Crosby.
Okay,
Rank those one to
I
four.
got T.J. Watt 1,
Okay,
Miles Garrett 2.
okay.
Now this is where I got Max Crosby 3, Nick Bosa 4.
You have the exact same lineup as me. That's crazy.
All right. I
Going through
think
the
I think that's the right lineup though, right?
in
TJ
my
Watt.
opinion, it is.
Yeah, TJ Watt leading the league in sacks. Is it 3 years, 2 years in a row? He's been leading. I swear he's been leading it every year. I've been actually like paying attention to football. Miles Garrett, dude's jacked, great run stuffer. I love watching Miles Garrett. Big Miles Garrett fan. Uh, we both could be biased with Nick Bosa being Seahawks fans. We just hate Nick Bosa, right? But I feel like he's injury prone a lot. He does get injured a lot. He's very rarely on the field. And Max Crosby, he's a good player. He gets after the ball. He's making an impact almost every play. So I think Max Crosby is that number 3 guy.
Yeah, I think T.J. Watt best pass rusher in the league. 19 sacks last year. 68 total tackles. Dude was getting after. I think he was robbed at defensive player of the year. Miles Garrett shortly behind him, 16 games, one less game played. He had 14 sacks. Nick Bosa, he had some injuries last year. He didn't play all 17 games. He only had 10 and a half sacks, but I think that might be partly due to the deep rotation that the 49ers try to run, keep guys
Yeah.
fresh. I mean, they had Chase Young last year, that kind of thing. So could be a product of that. I just haven't seen as much as we've seen early on in his career the last couple of years. So Max Crosby definitely third in my opinion. So
Yeah, I definitely like Max Crosby. I think he's an underrated guy. A lot of people, I think when you say Max Crosby, they don't even say like top 5. I definitely think he's top 5. I mean, we just put him over Nick Bosa. He's a top 3 edge rusher, I believe. So I think he's a very underrated guy. He doesn't get as much love as he should, or yeah, love, likeness, but he's a good player, good edge rusher. Definitely makes an impact for a very bad Raiders team. Uh,
I
that defensive side of the ball they took in the 7th round. I think this guy flew under the radar. Trey Taylor, safety out of Air Force.
yeah,
He won the Jim Thorpe Award. I don't know if you knew that.
I did
Uh,
not.
he is a headhunter. This guy, Cam Chancellor 2.0. No,
Yeah,
I don't think he's going to be that good. but he does hit hard. He does tackle hard. He's a very fun safety to watch. If you want to see some underrated safety that no one's ever really heard of, I think look up some Trey Taylor Air Force highlights, right? Won the Jim Thorpe Award. Will he become something? I don't know, but I want him to become something. I'm cheering for this guy.
I hear you. All right, I'll check him out.
Yeah, he's fun to watch.
Well, I think that pretty much wraps up the AFC West for us. Reed, you got anything else you want to add quick before we wrap her up?
I do not.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for watching. We'll be back next week. I don't think we've decided on which division we're going to be talking about next week.
It'll be an NFC division, but we'll decide soon.
Yeah, we'll jump on an NFC team again. We'll bounce back and forth NFC, AFC for the next couple weeks. Every Tuesday we'll be recording. If you guys want to check us out, feel free to give us a like, subscribe, let us know in the comments what you guys want us to talk about. Give us your opinions. If we got some hot takes you don't agree with, anything you want to talk to us about, let us know. These are the Frame Brothers, Take Two podcast. Thanks for watching.
Thank you.